Welcome back, Mando.
Oh, greetings, Bucketheads. Mavar Tagar. Welcome to our 324th Seeing the Sights of the Inner Lights episode of Mandovision. And I am your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you so much for checking out this small independent Star Wars podcast. We are so glad you're here. Make sure you find us on the socials at Mando_Vision, X, or Twitter. And Instagram, Mandovision at Blue Sky, and you can email me long-form commentaries at mandovisiontom@gmail.com. A reminder to please like, subscribe, follow, and share the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. All right, Bucketheads. So we're back for the next installment of our Star Wars Rebels rewatch. We're here to the second part of the opening two-parter for Season 3 of Rebels. And it's funny to me. I really enjoyed the first part more than the second part for some reason. And I think it has to do with, the action's just pretty straightforward. We kind of know that it's all going to fall apart for Ezra here at Requiem Base, right? It's not going to go well. I think we all sort of suspected that Kanan would swoop in and save the day and reconnect with his apprentice, his Padawan. And that is what we get. And it's not that it's bad by any stretch. It's not. It's good. It's just, it sort of lacked the intensity I think I was looking for in the episode. I do very much enjoy the Kanan and Bendu stuff. I think that's fantastic. I think that's a very revealing piece of Star Wars lore, particularly pertaining to Kanan and his journey now that he's lost his sight. So I do really, really like it. By and large, but it lacks the punch that I think I would have liked to open up this season. But they were on a slippery slope. They had to kind of bring Ezra back a little bit. He was feeling himself without his master around. He was getting aggressive. He was getting arrogant and reckless. It was coming from a place of good, a desire to do good, but it was putting his friends in massive amounts of danger. So. Again, in that regard, it's pretty straightforward. Thrawn isn't a big element in this episode either. When the Empire does arrive on scene, they sort of just, Thrawn's like, let him go. This isn't the Rebel fleet. We didn't draw anybody out here. This isn't significant. This isn't worth our time. We want to get them all, not just some of them. So it's an interesting episode in that sense, and maybe I'm picking nits. Because it's a perfectly fine episode. I can watch it again and again. There's fun stuff in there. Rex calling the dismantler droid a clanker. There's good stuff in there. Hondo doing things. Hondo with the Ugnaughts. Hondo finding a ship and taking it before everyone's ready for him to leave. But it's stuff like that. All the elements are there. It's a good episode. Two things I don't think we talked about in our last episode, as we get into this new season and we're catching up with our characters a little bit further down the line here, in the time between season 2 finale and the season 3 premiere, Ezra's got himself a new lightsaber. He's going green blade. So again, he's following kind of like Luke's journey here with the blue to green blades. No longer does he have the blaster component. It's more of a traditional lightsaber. No, I don't know if they've ever really chronicled the story of how he built his lightsaber. I don't know if that's something that we know. I wonder if now that we've brought Huang back, if maybe at some point between seasons that was something that Ahsoka had helped set up for him. I don't know. Oh, Huang. Oh boy, a lightsaber making droid. What fun. And then also, I don't think we talked about we talked about many of our characters' updates to their physical appearance, but we hadn't really discussed Kanan's as he goes full beard, which this is the look I prefer on my Kanan Jarrus. I don't know how you feel about it. Season 1 and 2 soul patch Kanan Jarrus, just looks like a guy who could be in a really lame Sugar Ray cover band. and I don't care for it. It wasn't my favorite look. I remember kind of chafing against it when the promotional images for Rebels first started coming out before the series even debuted, and being like, that's a weird look for your Jedi character. I didn't care for it then. Don't care for it now. I'm glad it's gone. I'm glad we got the beard. Let's go. We are pro beard on our Jedis. I'm just gonna say it right now. That's that. Okay. So I wanted to get those comments on the record, and now I think it's time to talk about our specific episode this week. So you know what that means. Let's do it. Let's get the particulars out of the way. This is Star Wars Rebels Season 3, Episode 2, Steps into Shadow, Part 2. Original air date, September 24th, 2016. Written by Matt Mishovitz, directed by Bosco NG. Our cast for the episode, you know the names, you know the faces. D. Bradley Baker. Whoa, D. Bradley Baker is Rex. Tom Baker is the Bendu. Steve Blum is Elba Orielos, Dave Filoni's Chopper. Taylor Gray is Ezra Bridger. Vanessa Marshall's Harrison Dula. Lars Mikkelsen is Grad Admiral Thrawn. Freddie Prinze Jr. is Kanan Jarrus. Tira Sakar is Sabine Wren. And Steven Stanton is Grand Moff Tarkin. And this listing of the cast does not include... that is a grievous error on their part. But we want to give credit where credit is due. So I want to make sure that we acknowledge that Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is in this episode. Governor Price is in this episode. So, hey. And Jim Cummings, too. My goodness. We really missed out here. They really blew it on this one. Yeah, Jim Cummings is Hondo. He's back as well. The plot for the episode. When Ezra's mission to steal ships goes awry due to his reckless leadership, Kanan returns to help the Ghost crew. And then Thrawn emerges as a new threat, except they have no idea who Thrawn is. All right, there we go. Let's get into it. You know what that means. It's time, friends. Strap on your buckets and let's go.
Get out of here. We'll hold them off.
You're going to have to relocate the covert.
This is the way.
This is the way.
So there are various elements to the Reclam base portion of the episode, to Ezra's portion of the episode. He's with Sabine, Zeb, Chopper, Rex, Hondo. All right, they're going to Reclam base. Remember, it was supposed to be a recon-only mission, but Ezra, seeing that the Y-wings that they came to liberate from the station are being very, very quickly destroyed, he's changed it into an active op, basically. So he wants to go in there. He wants to storm this base with just what he has available to him, which is not much. Not a lot of resources at his disposal. They're in the Ghost. No, sorry, they're in the Phantom. They are not in the Ghost. That would change things dramatically. But they're in the Phantom, right? So they don't have a lot of things. They don't have a lot of firepower. They don't have a lot of versatility to run a full-scale op. But Ezra is in the mindset of no failure, right? I don't fail, I win. I'm a winner. #winning. That's Ezra right now. So he goes head first, bull into a China shop thing, and they immediately activated a dismantler droid that's in orbit around the facility. This triggers an alert. The Empire knows they're there. We find out that Governor Price has warned them of rebel activity possibly coming to them. So the Empire is prepared for it. It is through some luck and some skill that Sabine's able to get them onto Reclam base. But they take a lot of damage in the process. Rex is trying to fight off that dismantler droid. Chopper is able to take it out with some shots. And they get there, right? But the ship's damaged. They're moored to the bottom of the base. And, well, now they don't really know what to do next. Ezra's kind of making this all up on the fly. He has no real plan of action here. They have to figure out how to stop the Y-wings from being put into the incinerator. And Hondo is the one who kind of comes up with the idea of that once they find the Ugnaught workers, Hondo evokes the name of Turba. Ezra is prepared to bully these Ugnaughts into doing what he needs them to do. But Hondo's all about making connections, right? That's his thing. So he drops Turba's name, and Turba, his cellmate who expired in last week's episode. And he promises the Ugnaughts that he's going to help that Ezra's there to help them escape. If they just all work together here to liberate these Y-wings. So the Ugnaughts turn off the device, right? The conveyor belt that essentially the ships are on. Obviously, the Empire notices this. The Ugnaughts lie and say that there's an issue with the machinery. It needs to be worked on, needs to be repaired, and so on and so forth. So there we go. It's at this point that Sabine also mentions to Ezra that, okay, cool, the conveyor belt's off, and but guess what? These ships don't have fuel in them, so we got to fuel up these ships before we try and steal them. So again, another little hitch in Ezra's hard scrabble plan here to is a very impromptu plan, I guess is probably even a better way to put it. So we cut. That's the end of that section, and then in the episode we go back to Adalon. We go back to Kanan and the Bendu, and another really great sequence between these two characters. And I'm going to talk about that one a little bit more. I want to stay with everything going on in what I guess is the A storyline, which is like Ezra's part of the story, because now is when the action begins. Right, those dismantler droids, they find the Spectres, attempting to fuel up the ships and get them off the belts. And action begins, right? Zeb and Sabine are in a bad spot. Zeb makes a nice grab when it looks like Sabine's going to fall off the base. It's a fun sequence. It's good action. Ezra continues to make reckless choices, and it all kind of stays along this trajectory, right? And it steadily gets worse and worse and worse. And again, it's Ezra. We know he's under the influence of this. Of the Sith holocron, even though he doesn't have it in his possession anymore. It's obviously influenced him and given him enough, just like stroked his ego enough so that his confidence is just so high that he believes himself to be infallible and that there's no scenario in which he can lose, right? He feels like he is, I don't know if I want to say he feels invincible, but he believes that he can't do anything wrong at this point. Like he is, again, just really feeling himself. He's on that path. But this is what we have to remind ourselves of what the Bendu said last time around. It's like Ezra's making poor choices, but it doesn't mean he's a bad person. Just because he's making bad choices right now, not a bad person. And that's something that Ezra has to remind himself of at a certain point. But it's going to cost him pretty much everything in the process. Like he's going to end up losing command after this. He's going to end up, facing disciplinary action. With Commander Sato, it's a lot of bad things are going to come out of Ezra's sort of recklessness here to try and make something out of nothing, right? Like instead of falling back like he should have done, be like, all right, this isn't going to work. This is just based on the recon that we're doing right now. This is not going to work. But he made these choices, and it's bad. They lose the Phantom. Ezra almost dies. They are able to get the Y-wings out of there, but again, at what cost does all this stuff happen? Ezra makes a bold choice to sabotage the station to get those Y-wings, and it almost cost him his life. So again, choices were made. And again, I like a lot of the interaction that he has with the commander of the base, whose name eludes me right now, but who was in charge of the Interdictor Star Destroyer last season. He's obviously been in trouble since then. Gotten himself demoted. Sorry. It's a good episode, but it's just very straightforward and we know it's going to go badly. So like the real main part of the episode, the part of the section of this episode that really drives it for me is Kanan and the Bendu. The Bendu asking Kanan to sort of look within himself to understand what's going on, like why, and these spiders are sort of like the vehicle for him to have this introspection. He thinks that the spiders lash out, that they attack out of fear and anger, and when in fact we learn that those are the feelings that Kanan is experiencing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here right in a second. So the Bendu's pretty smart in the way he gets Kanan to understand that just because he's lost his sight doesn't mean he can't see. And sort of the level of introspection that Kanan has to process to understand that, right? He's broken that device that's keeping the Krykna spiders at bay. and now he's the Bendu who sort of asked Kanan to turn around and walk towards them, right? And Kanan does so, but with fear in his heart. He is sort of mentally prepared to be attacked at this point. But the Bendu asks him all these questions, like, well, how did you hear that? How do you know where the spiders are? It's like, I can hear them. I can feel the vibrations in the ground. And, and then it gets to the point where, Kanan's walking. And the Bendu's like, well, do you feel them now? Are they close? And Kanan says, no. And the Bendu says, really? And that's when Kanan reaches out and finds one right in front of him. So all the beliefs that they had about the Krykna spiders from the Chopper Base episode in season 2 is not accurate. There's more to the Krykna spiders than our first encounter with them. And Kanan says as much. He's like, well, the Bendu says that the spiders are not aggressive by nature. And Kanan's like, that's not my experience with it. But clearly the Krykna spiders have some sort of connection to the Force and have some sort of understanding of the turmoil these characters are going through, because they are lashing out and attacking when Kanan is fearful and, on that darker path, right? Like fear, anger, grief, and like the sort of self-pity that he's going through after his injury. And so he has to confront that. And once he's at peace with that, the Krykna spiders pretty much leave him alone. It's a very fascinating period of self-discovery for Kanan at this point. And he leaves the Bendu here with a higher sense of confidence than he's had before, because he knows that, yes, he's blind, but his perceptions are stronger than ever before. Like, he can perceive things in a way that maybe he couldn't when his sight was there. Kind of like Obi-Wan taught us with the blast shield down, right? It's all very Jedi. It's all very Force stuff. It's really well done. I think it's really well executed. I love Tom Baker's voice as the Bendu. And during this introspection is also when Kanan feels that Ezra's in trouble, and he's going to go to Ezra's aid. So he leaves the Bendu. He leaves with a reborn sense of confidence and purpose. He knows he needs to be back with his friends, with his family, and withdrawing was a big mistake on his part. These last 6 months have been a big mistake, because look what it has done. It has fractured his family. Ezra's off on his own, doing his own thing, going down a path that he shouldn't be on. And Kanan can only look towards himself for the reason for that, because he wasn't there to help guide Ezra. Again, it's really good stuff. Also, at this point in the episode, Hera and Sato know that they are no longer on a recon mission. They are trying to reclaim the ships. The Empire shows up, blocks the way. It's all not looking good for our heroes. Kanan shows up in the Ghost with Hera. They're able to get to Ezra as he's plummeting towards, as he's like on Requiem base and is plummeting to the surface of Yarma. Okay, so what happened there really quick? I had to stop my thought. All heck broke loose in the condo. We have workermen out front. They were by the front door. The dogs started going crazy. So my train of thought was crashed very, very quickly. My apologies. I believe what I was trying to say was that Ezra was in his bad spot, right? Like, he'd made his choices. He was resigned to his fate. Kanan wasn't there to help him until he was. Requiem base plummeting to the surface of Yarma. Kanan, Hera show up in the Ghost. They're able to get to Ezra before he can crash to the planet with the base. And then it's a matter of getting out of there, right? And this is where we find out that the Empire is going to let them go. The Empire could easily stop them, but that's not Thrawn's mission, right? Like, Thrawn wants to snuff out the rebellion, the whole rebellion. And like this little offshoot, this little party isn't worth it to him. So let them go. And that's what they do. Give the rebels a false sense of victory by allowing them to escape. But meanwhile, the game is afoot. We go back to Chopper Base. Our heroes have a chance to kind of recollect themselves, connect and reconnect with each other. Ezra and Kanan in particular, as their bond is really, really in need of repair as we move forward into the season, as we really begin to kick things off here. Because again, this episode, while it picks up and follows through with a lot of the elements that we left off with in season 2, it is sort of a new chapter, right? So like we are on a new, it's a new table setting, right? Like we're setting the table right now for season 3, and we need our heroes to have grown and changed, had some failures, had some bumps, but they have to be together, right? They have to be stronger together, and that's what we have right now. So our team's reconnected, and we are ready to plow ahead with the rebellion in their fight against the Empire. But they are about to find out that Thrawn, he is not to be trifled with. And we'll get to see more of that as the season rolls on. So, as for this episode, like I said, I like the first one a little bit better. I know it's maybe silly of me to say that. So for me, it's like a 7.5 bucket episode. It really is the Bendu stuff and the Kanan stuff that really drive home this episode for me. To see a reckless and arrogant Ezra isn't my favorite thing in the world. So to me, that kind of holds it back because we sort of know the downward trajectory he's on. But the moments when Kanan comes back and when Kanan and Ezra are able to reconnect are very, very, very much worth it. So again, we put him in a good spot, and we can't wait to see where we go the rest of the way for season 3. So that's it. 7.5 buckets, friends. All right, let's wrap this party up. This is the Mandovision Podcast, and I am your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you, for as always, for checking out the small independent Star Wars podcast. We need you here more than ever. Hit us up on the socials at Mando_Vision on Twitter/X and Insta, Mandovision at Blue Sky, and then you can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. If possible or so inclined, depending on your podcasting format, platform, whatever. Sweet, sweet, sweet 5-star reviews. They help us stand out, not get lost in the shuffle. Us independent shows really need that kind of support. We really appreciate it. Bucketheads, thank you so much. You guys are always awesome. You guys are always the best. So glad you're here. And go out there, be great Star Wars fans, kind, supportive, respectful, and encouraging of other ideas. It's A-okay. But let's have a nice, fun Star Wars discourse. Keep it fun. Keep it up, high, light. Doesn't have to get crazy. Doesn't get intense. We're all friends here. All right, Bucketheads, let's get out of here. You know this podcast, it only ends one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. You expect me to search the galaxy for the home of this creature and deliver it to a race of enemy sorcerers?
This is the way.